There is one entity in all of cosmos. Unless there are two, there can be no compulsion of the will. There is none other than the one to compel the one, and we are all the one. If there is no other to compel one's will, that will is unconditioned, unmoved, self-determining, and free of all influence. We seem not to have free will because we are compelled by greater beings and some lesser beings if we are vulnerable. But if you look at this philosophically, the will is absolutely free. And only in conditions of relativity, when there is multiplicity, does the will seem not to be free. There are practical ways to look at the idea of free will. Every human being is an emanation, and that emanation is spirit, and the spirit is self-determining, since there's no other than spirit. So at the root, every will is free, especially in the conscious being. In practicality, in samsara, in maya, in relativity, there are greater and lesser forces. A greater force will move a lesser force, and the lesser force will feel compelled and will feel its freedom restricted. And that is the illusion of the loss of free will. From a relative perspective, it is true. But in essence, if we could realize what we really are as being, than which there is none else, what is there to limit our freedom? The boundless immutable principle is boundless. That means there is none other, no possible limitation, none other in terms of number to compel it, to force it, to make it do anything. It is completely self-determining, and so are we. So in the absolute sense, man's will is free, and so is the will of any conscious being. In the relative sense, there are greater and lesser forces which are capable of swaying the will of another. Can I make this planet disappear? I cannot, as a limited being. As the absolute, I can. So there is a practical approach to free will. We must look deep within and become as self-determining as possible. We will have freedom of choice within certain limited circumstances. We cannot go beyond those limits. But within our range of possibilities, we are free to choose this from that, and will evolve or devolve accordingly. There is but one will in cosmos, just the way there's only one monad in cosmos. That monad is one, is being, and is completely free. And its will is one and is completely free. But because of the progressive limitation of consciousness through the process of emanation, the original free will seems to the encapsulated unit of consciousness to be less and less free, until we reach the stage of the lowest atoms, which have no self-consciousness and are completely compelled by greater forces. If we want to have free will, which essentially we have, but if we want to know that we have free will, be assured that we have free will, we must identify interiorly as the one and only thing, which is. The one without a second. When we are the only one, that is, and essentially we are so, our will is completely free. But that takes returning to the universal logos and the dissipation of the universe. And until that happens, our will is compelled by superior beings, which we are. We are the superior beings compelling the will of ourselves as apparent lesser beings.